It's Amanju. Welcome to Minecraft Bedrock versus Java, where I play through both versions of the game and compare them. Today I've decided that I'm going to make a guardian farm. Oh, and also, make sure to watch the end of this video because I have a special announcement about my channel. I'm going to make a guardian farm in my Bedrock world and my Java world. I'm starting off in the Bedrock world because I kind of already got a head start on things. I did this a little while ago when I needed to get a guardian to put in my fish zoo, and in the process of getting that guardian, I spawn-proofed an ocean monument, which is kind of the first step I needed to do to make a guardian farm. Now, the design I'm going to use for this guardian farm in Bedrock is going to be completely different from Java because, for one thing, the mechanics for how guardians spawn is very different between the two versions. In Bedrock Edition, any kind of mobs that spawn in a specific structure, like wither skeletons in a nether fortress, or witches in a witch's hut, or pillagers in a pillager outpost, or guardians in an ocean monument, they spawn at specific locations in that structure, specific X and Z coordinates. In the case of an ocean monument, there are 25 of these locations. So the first thing I did, actually, after I cleared out the Elder Guardians, I set up a conduit over here. So this is giving me night vision and water breathing and haste while I'm in the water. That's going to help me quite a bit. But then the next thing I did was found all of those spawning locations where guardians can spawn, and I filled them in with solid blocks. And the way I find these 25 locations, there's a number of different ways to do it. But the method I used was to go to the northwest corner. I went to this corner of the monument, and you see the coordinates here. If I move over the monument, I'm moving in the positive X and positive Z direction. So this corner of the monument is the lowest number coordinates. And this right here is the northwest corner. So if I go up here, I marked it with this wool block here. That's the northwest corner. And it's at those coordinates. And I just add to those coordinates +2, +13, +29, +45, and +55 in the X and Z directions. That gives me all the spawning points. So, for example, from the northwest corner, +2 in the X direction, +2 in the Z direction, gives me those coordinates, and that's one of the spawning locations. +2, +13 gives me those coordinates. That's another spawning spot. +2, +29. That's another spawning spot. +2, +45. And +2, +55. So that's in the Z direction. Now I'll go in the X direction. +2, +2, then +13, +2. +29, +2. +45, +2. And +55, +2. Then I can just form a grid from those two sides, and everywhere those grid points intersect, it's another spawning location. I filled in the entire height of that XZ coordinate with gravel, and in fact dug into the ocean monument to the very bottom of the ocean monument to make sure that it's entirely filled in. It's not strictly necessary to do that to make the farm, but it helps a lot because it makes sure that there's no guardians that are going to be spawning while I'm constructing this farm. Now, you might see some people, when they make a guardian farm, drain the entire ocean monument. That is completely unnecessary for Java or Bedrock. You don't need to do that. If you enjoy sitting in the dentist chair getting a root canal without Novocaine, hey, knock yourself out. But I'm just saying, you don't need to do that. It's not necessary. Alright, so now that I spawn-proof this thing, I'm going to build a big box around all these spawning points to make the farm in. And it's going to go from, say, 4 blocks down. Yeah, I'm going to make a wall that goes down 4 blocks from the surface of the water all the way around. Alright, the wall is done. Now I need to give it a floor. One block more. So the floor is 5 blocks down from the surface. They will spawn at those 25 coordinates. They will spawn above the highest solid block in water at Y61 or below. And that means that in practice, it's kind of weird, but the Guardians will always spawn above the ceiling of the ocean monument, not inside of it. So you're not likely to ever see Guardians inside an ocean monument in Bedrock Edition, other than the Elder Guardians. I've chosen to make the floor out of prismarine blocks, not just for aesthetic reasons, but because look at all this prismarine already here in the ocean monument that I can just tear down because I have the beacon set up. I can insta-mine it. Ultimately, once the farm's set up, I'll be able to get all the prismarine I could ever need. But to prime the pump, if you will, I'm going to mine and collect lots of prismarine from the ocean monument itself. Okay, remember how I said that I don't have to drain the entire ocean monument to make this farm? I do want to drain this tank that I've made. And believe me, that's a heck of a lot easier than draining the entire ocean monument. I'm just going to section this off into sections that are 4 blocks wide, and then place down sponges to drain it out. Now, I'm using gravel to make these walls, and the reason why I'm using gravel, and not like sand, is because the ocean floor is absolutely covered in gravel. So, easy to get more.
Later that same evening.
You talking to me? You talking to me? Not see anybody else here. You must be talking to me.
The next day.
I got rid of the Elder Guardians. I set up the conduit. I spawn-proofed all the 25 places where Guardians can spawn on the Ocean Monument. I made this big box, and I drained the whole thing. Now, the next thing I need to do is set up some way to collect all the drops. I'm going to have 25 Trident Killers, one at each of these spawning locations, and I need a way to collect all the drops and put them to one central location where I'm going to be AFK. For that, I'm going to make channels of packed ice that all kind of link together toward kind of the center of this platform, and then raise it up on soul sand, so all the experience and all the items will come up on a bubble column. I think I've mapped out these 10 spots pretty good. The magenta wool there is marking the spawning locations. Ultimately, I'm going to replace those blocks, those wool magenta blocks, with a water source, and then have the Trident Killer at each of those locations to kill the Guardians when they spawn. And then I have packed ice here that's going to channel all of the drops and all the experience from each of these down this channel to here, and then down this channel to where the soul sand is there. I'm just going to put in the water streams and get that to work right, and I think I'm good. I still have marked the northwest corner. That's important because this is the block that the Guardians will spawn on, but in Bedrock Edition, everything that spawns on a block spawns on the northwest corner. And I'm not sure if it's going to matter or not, but I'm putting transparent glass blocks on these spaces so that I don't have solid blocks to the north or west that might prevent spawns. Each of the spawning locations is going to be like that. Okay. I'm using buttons to stop the water flow. This actually won't work in Java because buttons are washed away by water in Java Edition, but not in Bedrock. So in Java Edition, I'd have to use like signs to do this trick, but now, this is a spawning spot where the Trident Killer is going to go, and the water source is going to go in this spot. 2 over from that, I have a trapdoor. That's going to prevent the Guardian from escaping. It's going to allow experience orbs and items to escape. Although, kind of wonder if I should put it like that. That seems better, honestly. in order to test it, I can just drop items into any of these locations and make sure they will flow through. If that doesn't work, then it may be necessary to adjust where you place the buttons and where the water sources start. Looks like everything's flowing right to the soil. Perfect. So that's those 10 spawning points done. As far as item and experience collection, that's all set to go to the central water elevator. Now I just need to do the other 15 spots. Now, all 25 locations have water streams that are going to guide all the drops and all the experience points right to that central spot where I'll have the water column. I'm going to cover that whole thing with glass and work on the trident killers. Redstone torch there. There. Redstone there. And the repeater's facing the wrong way. The repeater should face that way. 2 ticks. There we go. There's our trident killer. Ultimately, I'm going to have a water source there and a glass block on top of it. There we go. So I got my repeater circuit here, and there's a redstone torch on this block that's going to be powering these pistons. When I have power active going to this, it turns everything off and the pistons are retracted. When I turn power off, then I get those pistons moving. Throw some tridents there, and then that's going to be the trident killer. Another nice thing is it's really easy to access the tridents. I need to repeat this for the other 24 spawning locations, and then link everything together so that it's activated by a single switch. Now, if you're any good at math, you realize that 25 spawning locations times 2 tridents apiece is 50 tridents. If you're wondering, how the heck do I have that many tridents? Well, I'll put a link to the video in which I made a drone farm that produces 40 tridents or so an hour. Pretty effective.
One eternity later.
Alright, I've got everything wired up here. I flip this one switch, and it turns on all of the pistons. I am ready to get this thing activated. In order to activate this thing, break that block. And now there is a water source at that spawning point. And I will throw a trident there, there. And just do that for the other 24. Alright, all the tridents are set. Let's turn this thing on. Head up to the AFK spot. Let's see what kind of rates I got out of this thing. There come all the drops. That's working. Am I getting the experience up here? Yes. Yes, the experience is coming up here too. Alright, gotta set my timer here. Let's see what I get after an hour.
1 hour later.
Well, after being here for an hour, the results are good. I kind of expected better, though. I have all these chests full, plus the hoppers that lead into them, plus that chest, and a little bit into here. So you're talking 7 double chests full, so that's plus the hoppers. That's about 27,000 items in an hour. Still, you can see that I got a few levels too. This Guardian farm is pretty effective, I'd say. Now I'm going to go into my Java world and build a Guardian farm there. It will be pretty different design. Probably take me a little less time to make as well. and no draining will be necessary whatsoever. I won't have to drain anything at all. And now I'm in the Java world, and behind me you can see the ocean monument. This is right by my general purpose mob farm in the Java world. There just happens to be an ocean monument in about the same place in both versions. That doesn't usually happen. The Guardian farm I'm making in Java Edition is going to be very different from Bedrock Edition because the spawning mechanics are so different. In Bedrock Edition, Guardians will spawn on one of 25 specific locations on the monument in water above the highest solid block. That means they're all going to be pretty much on the roof of the ocean monument. They're going to be outside the ocean monument. In Java Edition, they spawn anywhere within the bounding box of the ocean monument. That's a big imaginary box that completely encloses the ocean monument, and they'll spawn anywhere in that area. 95% of spawn attempts above ground fail, which means you're much more likely to see guardians inside the ocean monument and underneath it than above it. But in the case of this guardian farm, I don't need to do any draining. I don't need to make a box container. I don't need to drain anything. I'm hoping it's a little simpler to build. I've never done it before, we'll see. But I'm gonna drink a potion of invisibility and set up a conduit. I've already cleared the Elder Guardians out of here. I see it's still the case that in Bedrock Edition, a conduit gives you haste 2. In Java Edition, it gives you haste 1. So I can't insta-mine the blocks in here in Java Edition with a conduit on, the way I can in Bedrock Edition. This should have been easier, but it wasn't because I'd never done it before, so I kind of had to do a little trial and error, die a few times linking the portals. And I learned some things. First of all, don't allow any of the Guardians to get through the portals before I go through the portals and link them, because otherwise I'm going to have a lot of trouble. The first time I died was for, I don't know why, but my invisibility potion wore off. The Guardians started to target me. I drank another invisibility potion. They still continued to target me and they killed me. I'm not sure how that happened. And the next time was because I went through a portal to link it, and Guardians had already gone through the portal, like a mob of them, and I just got swarmed by them. The first time I died, I lost my sword. I had to make a replacement. But I eventually figured this out. I have here 2 portals, and the Guardians should, like, go up the scaffolding. You know, in the lower portal, go up the scaffolding and go through the upper portal. The problem is that they weren't going through the portal, and they were just dying from entity cramming and dropping some drops through the portal instead of going through the portal themselves. And I think that's because there's like a 15-second period in which the Guardians can't go back through a portal when they've gone through a portal already. And they have to wait 15 seconds. So by putting these fence gates here on a hopper clock timer, they should open every 15 seconds, allowing Guardians to go through, and then close for 15 seconds, allowing, you know, the Guardians to build up. And I'm hoping that resolves the problem. I'm going to go back to the overworld and check it out. Let's see if it worked. Alright, after more trial and error, this is the portal they're coming out of, and they're pouring out of them every 15 seconds or so. The theory is that they take some damage from the lava blade there. It weakens up a little bit so that they should be one-shot kills, but they're not really one-shot kills. I usually kill them in a couple swings. That means I'm taking some damage from thorns. Alright, I'll set my timer for an hour and see how much productivity I get out of this thing. I'm still taking a lot of thorns damage, so regeneration beacon might not be a terrible idea too. Let's see what kind of production I get out of this in an hour. Okay, it's been about an hour. This farm has proven to be a little less effective than the Bedrock Edition version, and the thorns damage I'm taking from attacking these things caused me to burn through all of the golden carrots I had, which is not a problem because I certainly have a lot of fish from these Guardians. I got a total of about maybe 3.5 chests full, which is about half as much as I got from the Bedrock Edition version. I got about 27,000 drops from the Bedrock Guardian farm. This I'm getting more like maybe 12,000 drops. So I think ideally it would be better to not even try and get experience from these Guardians, not kill them with my sword, but have the kill chamber for the Guardians in the Nether and collect all the loot in the Nether. I probably would get better results, even though I wouldn't get the looting effect from the sword. But this has taken a while. I'm not really interested in messing around with improving on it right now. But you could probably get much better rates doing it that way if you weren't concerned about experience. Certainly I can get experience from my gold farm. But if you made it this far in this video, probably like what you saw, so click on the like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to my channel. That's especially important. And oh, by the way, I had an announcement about my channel that I wanted to make. I want to work on a project for my channel, which is going to be pretty involved. It's going to take a while to do. Like, at least 2 weeks, maybe even a month or more for me to complete a video that I can put out. I think it'll be pretty nice, but it's going to take a lot of time. And so that means I'm not going to be putting out any videos for at least a couple weeks, and maybe longer. All the more reason why you should subscribe to my channel so that when I do put out my next video, you'll see it. I don't want to get into too much detail about what it is that I'm going to do, because it could be an epic fail. It could be I end up spending a lot of time working on it, and the result is I don't have anything useful out of it, and I gotta just scrap the whole thing. But hopefully, when I do come out with my next video, it will be pretty epic. Next time on Amon Chooses Minecraft, Java versus Bedrock.